Hello and welcome everyone to AARP Wyoming's Video Voter Guide Series for 2024. I'm Tom Laycock with AARP Wyoming, and today we're joined by Keith Kennedy, who's running for the Wyoming Legislature in Senate District 10, located in Albany County. AARP has a proud 40-year history of nonpartisan voter engagement and does not endorse or oppose candidates. Nor does AARP make political contributions to campaigns or candidates at any level. Instead, we ask questions so our AARP Wyoming members understand where the candidates stand on important issues and can make their own decisions on Election Day. Today, we'll ask Mr. Kennedy 3 questions, allowing for a 1-minute and 30-second response to each. Then we'll give him 2 minutes to make his pitch to the voters of Senate District 10. So, Mr. Kennedy, our first question is this. Over the last 2 years, the Wyoming Legislature has made providing property tax relief for citizens a priority. In your view, what's the most effective way to provide relief while balancing revenue needs for counties, schools, and other entities that rely on property tax relief for sustainable funding?
Well, thank you, Tom. Based on the discussions during the last 2 legislative sessions, I believe that the acquisition model of the basis for the other or residential class of primary residence would offer relief as well as certainty for government revenues. It would need to use a base year such as 2020 or 2021 for current primary residences and the value of acquisition during subsequent years. There are issues to address with this method, such as inheritance or gifting, those type of activities, but it should also be noted that any improvements would be added to that value at cost. I have concerns with the proposal to shift from property tax to sales and use tax. Sales and use tax is more volatile and with more ability for some to avoid payment. I believe that this volatility will be used by those who favor implementing a state income tax.
Well, thank you. Our second question for today is this. Wyoming's population of those aged 60 and over grew by 47% from 2010 to 2020, while the state's entire population grew just 2%. We know 64% of all nursing home beds in Wyoming are paid for right now by the state Medicaid program. What do you see as the greatest barrier to helping our older adults age in their homes and communities? And what solutions would you provide?
There are several action items that I believe would help with this issue. First, going back to the earlier question, improvements that seniors make to their residence to improve accessibility could be exempt from property taxes, as accessibility is one of the largest issues with older adults aging in their homes. Secondly, increased telehealth options for seniors should be encouraged. And finally, similar to Florida's action in 2021, we should create incentives for churches and fraternal organizations to fill gaps in support networks for seniors, especially those who may be experiencing isolation, loneliness, or financial challenges. And many of those churches and fraternal organizations would be happy to make contact on twice a week, 3 times a week, or even every day with seniors just to see how they're doing and then call more professional help if needed.
Our final question for today is this. Emergency medical services are not considered an essential service in Wyoming, and in some areas, ambulance services do not have a sustainable funding source. Over the last 10 years, Wyoming has seen 16 EMS providers in the state fold or consolidate with another service. What solutions would you offer for ensuring access to ambulance services?
First of all, I would have a question as what is the reason for those consolidation or closures of ambulance services? Depending on the reasons for the closure, it may be reasonable for volunteer fire departments to offer basic life support, BLS ambulance services as the first point of contact, especially those in areas where advanced life support isn't available within a reasonable response time. It would also be a reasonable action for said departments to be able to increase their mill levy via ballot to support such increased medical services. Finally, hospitals that are subject to the Emergency Medical Treatment and Active Labor Act, in other words, care for everyone who walks in the door, should encourage medical directors and their associated ALS providers to provide training and oversight of such a system where adopted.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Kennedy, for being a good sport and answering our questions today. Now let's give you 2 minutes to explain to the voters why you think you're the best person to represent Senate District 10.
Well, Tom, I believe that probably the biggest reason people should elect me is, first of all, my stances, but secondly, I have worked as a lobbyist for the agriculture industry and various portions of it for the last 20 years. And so I know this system quite well and will be able to hit the ground running. I have a vast range of employment experience. I actually ran the family farm and ranch for 15 years. I was a contractor doing vegetation control for several entities, among them YDOT, as well as some utilities, and finally the government affairs work that I've done the past few years. I took a 20-year Christmas break before I got my bachelor's, so I do appreciate education. I followed that up with a Master of Agribusiness, very similar to an MBA, and was very focused on policy. And I would love the chance to represent Albany County and all of those interests, and appreciate your time very much today, Tom.
Well, thank you, Mr. Kennedy, for your time, and thank you to our viewers for joining us in this video voter guide. We encourage you to keep checking Cowboy State Daily and AARP Wyoming's Facebook page for more video voter guides in the days to come.